Igama lamakhosikazi. Malibongwe. Wathinta abafazi. Uzokufa. Comrades, let me stand in the established protocols. Let me stand in the established protocols and say it's heartening for us as members of the National Executive Committee deployed in Gauteng to deliver our first regional conference. So when the letter came, Comrade co-convener, from the Secretary General to say Ekuthuleni has fulfilled all the requirements of conference and the guidelines of conference as adopted by the NEC, and the conference can proceed from the 8th to the 10th of August. As deployees to Gauteng, we had no doubt that this conference was going to sit, because we were actively engaged with your RTT as we prepared for this conference. Because when we were deployed here, we were informed and instructed that the sole task of the RTT is to take the region to conference, and take the region to conference in the shortest period of time. Because we have a mandate, and the mandate is the renewal of the ANC. And the process to renew the ANC revolves around the rebuilding of the ANC. And the rebuilding of the ANC means a number of things. First, it means rebuilding the quality of the membership of the ANC. And the quality of the membership of the ANC means we should have a membership that is self-respecting, principled individuals who exhibit good values. We should have members who are eager to help others in society. We should have members who are keen to self-develop themselves and also committed to the development of their communities. Because those members then become the cadre of the ANC. And cadres have a particular quality that they must exhibit. Because cadres are required to conduct themselves with respect and integrity in a manner that enhances the stature and image of the ANC. And I must say, in Ekuthuleni, as we're working towards this conference, because we walked through to this conference, we saw and experienced members who were committed to enhancing the image and stature of the ANC. We have had a record in this region, co-convene. And you can ask those who come from the East Rand, because I used to come from this region, that our meetings were never as peaceful as we have had this time around. Our disputes, the number of disputes we have had towards this conference have been minimal. We showed that we are starting to have a quality membership. A membership that is grounded in political philosophy of the ANC, and not engage in divisive and factional activities. And leadership preferences does not necessarily mean factions. We are allowed to have preferences. The factions become what the co-convener indicated, that after conference we still want to come back and say, Ngizomshaya in next round, next conference. And count to 3 years, it's not too long. The factionalism is those when we have elected leadership, on Monday they walk away and say, Asba holibe to labai. But we are confident as deployees that we are starting a journey of rebuilding ANC with good foundations. But a cadre of the ANC is also one who guards against blind loyalty. And one who opposes defending for the sake of defending, even when the criticism is correct. And this does not open a door to destructive criticism. The people who create problems for the ANC out there is ANC members. We go to social media and attack the ANC and attack each other as if we are not members of the ANC ourselves. The ANC has created enough platforms where we can criticize each other in closed doors and go out and show a united front. And correct and speak correctly in the public domain to say this is what the ANC must represent. But a cadre of the ANC is one who's prepared to sacrifice their personal interest and benefit for public good. And one who never sacrifices public good for personal interests. We still have a long way to go on this one. But we are confident that as we emerge with the leaders from this conference and the resolutions of this conference, we are going to continue and build on this foundation that has been laid. Because when you go to elections, we are going to ask who should be our leaders in terms of character and content. And I'm hoping and confident that we are going to elect leaders who are an embodiment of all the qualities of an ANC member that I just spoke about and a cadre that I just spoke about earlier. A leadership that is grounded in political philosophy of the ANC, who actively display moral uprightness, ethical integrity, and positive disposition towards the poor and the marginalized. When we entered the registration hall, I was saying to the team that I was with that what is going to kill us is the flashing of opulence in the face of poverty. Because we must ask ourselves, the image I'm projecting as an ANC leader, does it not create a social distance between me and the society that I'm supposed to lead? And an ANC leader is not not an REC leader, it's a BEC member, it's a branch delegate, it's anybody who goes and represents the ANC in public. And anybody who society associates with the ANC as its member. But what image do we project? There's a new tendency where when we want to do good or want to look after the poor, we go with cameras and we post taking pictures, put them there because we want to show we are doing some good. Because that when you do that, you are not doing good. You want to do it for show. You are not doing it for your heart. So the ANC leader must always find themselves closer to the poor and the marginalized and the vulnerable. And those people must be able to associate with us, must be able to relate with us, and not come to us as beggars, what you call your ice boys. ANC leaders must not have ice boys because they want your crumbs. We must also elect in this conference leaders who appreciate the organic link between theory and practice. Comrade Co-Convener, our major challenge in the ANC and in this province in particular is that we are very good in theorizing, but practice dollar. But that is the scourge that holds us prisoners and make us unable to deliver services. But we must always remember that theory without practice is sterile, and practice without theory on its own is dangerous. But it's important that in this conference we must elect leaders who understand the ANC strategy and tactics. Because if you have leaders of the ANC who do not understand strategy and tactics, you are going to have problem with executing the ANC agenda and program. Because they won't be strategic, they won't be tactical. And strategy and tactic, it has evolved with time because we respond to the material conditions that are taking place at that moment in time. And that's why we continuously revise and review them in the national conferences. Even now we are going to the NGC, we must have a discussion around the strategy and tactics to say the prevailing conditions on the ground, what type of strategy and tactics do they require of ANC leaders and members to deploy. So we come here as delegates from branches. And I hope we are going to be true to what the ANC branch is about. ANC branch that fulfills all the constitutional requirements of holding branch general meetings, the BEC also meeting and reporting. Because those things, the BGMs are not to nominate delegates to conferences or only to elect a BEC. And I know now we may be lucky, Comrade Hope, as the coordinator, because the branches will have to be active because we are going to nominate councillors. But we must insist that the requirement of the community engagement program was not only for this purpose. Our branches must serve as resources of our local community. In the youth league days, or in our youth league days, we used to say the branch must be the lifeblood of the community. What does that mean? It means there cannot be a community uprising when an ANC branch is there. Not because there won't be community dissatisfaction, but because the ANC branch will lead an engagement with its deployees to make sure that whatever the community is dissatisfied with is attended to. Because an ANC branch has a summoning power. The ANC branch can convene a councillor, can convene a mayor, can convene an MEC, can convene a premier, can convene any minister to the branch. Can convene parliamentarians when ministers are not coming. You say, come to our branch, there's this issue, a service delivery issue. We are going to talk about what a deployee of the ANC must do. Because you cannot lead the ANC if you do not attend to community meetings. In Parliament, there is a committee that is set up for community issues. The petitions committee. You petition that committee, you'll force that a parliamentarian from your locality to come, or from your region or from your province to come. And those who have constituency offices here. We must start use the structures put in place to make sure the ANC and government are not delineated from the communities that we lead, to hold the deployees accountable. The deployees are not held accountable in Parliament and in council chambers or in the legislatures. They are held accountable in the communities. And you've got the power to make sure that if Khumbudzo, who's a deployee, does not respond, we'll make sure that Khumbudzo does not get elected again. Because we are not elected or deployed to serve ourselves and our families. We are elected to serve the communities and the society we lead. As I've said, and the co-convener has said, when we came here to have the BGMs, there was a requirement that you must complete the foundational course. I'm hoping that the next level of the courses will come through, because you can't end at foundation for your political grounding. There must be the intermediary level that comes through, and then the advanced level, because we must know the political philosophy of the ANC. But what was also important was the requirement for this community engagement. All of you had to fulfill that. But we must commit ourselves that kimathomo mayo arisa stopa. We must commit ourselves that from this regional conference, street by street, block by block, ward by ward, zone by zone, Ekurhuleni is going to lead community engagement. We are the resting place of Oliver Tambo. We cannot let him down. We are going to champion, as ANC branches and ANC members, service delivery in our communities. It starts in your street, it goes to your block, it goes to your ward, it goes to your zone, and then the whole city will work. We are going to champion community cohesion. We don't have community cohesion because we have left to live as a community. And we use the excuse of the high crime to build high walls and you don't even know your neighbor. We are going to commit that as we live here, the ANC in Ekuthuleni is going to commit to improved community safety. And the ANC branches are going to lead to make sure there's community policing forums that are active, that are supported by the Metro Police, that are supported by the South African Police Services. Because we cannot degenerate and go back to the days where Ekuthuleni is the hive of criminality and a dangerous place. We are going to commit not only to building economic resilience, but also the development of our economy. As the co-convener had said, the Ekuthuleni was once the industrial hub of South Africa. But when we're driving through Kempton Park, even when you go to Alberton, when you go to Germiston, go to Boksburg, our towns are starting to look like urban slums. We are going to resolve that as we live here, our deployees in the city of Ekuthuleni are going to make sure that they implement the bylaws to keep our cities and our towns as economic hubs. They don't have to spend their own money. The bylaws require that an owner of a building, a business property, must make sure that that business property is kept in good condition, the premises around it is kept proper, that people who are selling wares on the streets, there is demarcated areas. But we need to go further. The Department of Small Business Development through Cabinet have tabled a policy and approved a policy on business licensing. We're going to make sure that those street vendors are licensed, to make sure that these ones who do not know whether they have where they come from, they don't have an ID, they don't have any other thing, what food, where do they source the food they're selling or the products they're selling, that they cannot operate because they do not qualify for a business license. We complain and say, Mabahambe, we can make the environment where they operate very much difficult, not because of closing up clinics, but making sure they cannot operate because they don't have business licenses. We'll make sure that our own yards are not leased out to them to operate spaza shops, because it's our own yards. That you won't sacrifice your whole community for 2,000 monthly rental. Because at the back of the work that we are going to do, we are going to make sure that we engage with businesses here in Ekuthuleni. We are going to not only engage with businesses here in Ekuthuleni, but we are going to have very active outward missions of attracting investments in Ekuthuleni. Actually, Comrade Co-Convener, the US tariffs are a bonus. It's in a time of crisis that your resilience comes up. We have just announced from Cabinet that part of the measures we are putting in place is block exemption to allow competitors to cooperate. Why can't Ekuthuleni take that up? And we don't have to wait for the provincial government. The city has the authority to do that. We have just announced from the DTIC, from Cabinet yesterday, we have announced that we are going to have an export contact point. We need to go and engage this industry and say, you are going to engage with them, because we are affected big time with the metal industries that are here. We need to go and say, these efforts that are done to protect the ferrochrome industry, how do they benefit our city? We must be alive to those decisions. We can't sit here and moan and be passengers. We are not passengers, we are leaders. And we are capable. If you do not know, there's somebody within the ANC who knows, who will give you the contact. We are available. We need to make sure that our children go to these TVET colleges that are here in our townships and in our towns and learn the right skills. Comrades, we must have a discussion. This thing of going to learn administration, now our devices are direct administrators. You no longer need a typist. You no longer need a person to file. So why are they still learning those things? Why can't they learn to work in vocational work that we can find employment here? We need to engage the city and say, what is that local economic development plan or strategy of yours? And we must stop saying, no, we're going to do this medium term. There's short term, there's immediate term, short term, medium, and long term. And those are the resolutions we're expecting from these commissions. Comrades, as we live here, we must commit to deal with the criminal networks that operate amongst us. We cannot be threatened by one sector or the other because we don't want to. You are forced to do stupid transactions because you want to protect this sector, because they'll come with guns. As we speak, there are positions in the city of Ekuthuleni that when you accept an appointment, you are signing a death certificate. It must come to an end, is the resolutions of this conference and their implementation that will make sure that those things come to an end. We are the ANC of Oliver Tambo. We are the ANC of Adelaide Tambo. We are the ANC of Albertina Sisulu. We are the ANC of Mama Lillian Goyi. We are the ANC of Winnie Madikizela Mandela. We are the ANC of Bertha Gowa. We are the ANC of Charlotte Maxeke. Resilient women in the history of our struggle. We are the ANC that will walk in their footsteps. We are the ANC that will make sure that there's no GBVF in our communities. Comrade Co-Convener, we are tired of reading in newspapers and police statistics that an ANC leader or an ANC Youth League leader in Gauteng has killed a spouse. Those people do not deserve to be our members. You cannot protect your boyfriend. You cannot protect your son. You cannot protect your husband who is committing GBVF. It must be part of the resolutions that we have, and we must form a support network for women in the communities and children in the communities that are suffering those. We know them, but we don't want to confront it. We meet in this Women's Month as a conference of a region because there is a purpose that we must lead in the fight against GBVF. Not because we sloganeer about it, but we practically implement it. We must be the ANC that makes sure that the community safety centers are not only up to scratch, but they are also not derogatory to the women and children who go there. The Tutuzela centers cannot be places of shame. Women cannot be afraid to go to a Tutuzela center because they do not know what's going to happen to them. They do not know what income they'll have. Women must go to the Tutuzela center and know when they get there, ANC members, as members of the community, will be there. Not ANC Women's League, ANC members must be there to make sure that there are work opportunities, there are projects these women can do to earn a living. Because that would have been started and led here in Ekuthuleni. We are a resilient region. I do not know how many of us really know the role this region played in the liberation of this country. We must also lead in the next step. We cannot be intimidated by the US tariffs. There are alternative markets, but alternative markets need alternative products. We must make sure that this region can play a vibrant economic role in growing South Africa. We must make sure this region is resilient in responding to the US tariffs. We must be able to work a plan that we can create jobs that will replace those that may be lost through the tariffs. We must make sure that we call the ambassador of China, the ambassador of Russia, the ambassadors of the European Union countries, the ambassadors of the African countries that are here and say, we've got these opportunities, we've got these products we want to sell to the EU. We want to trade with you. We must call them and meet them as a region. You must ask your REC when you have elected them, where is your stakeholder engagement program for business, for the markets, and lead it and coordinate with the DTIC. So the leadership we are going to elect here are not only going to lead the ANC, they are going to lead Ekuthuleni as a society, and they will be felt. We are not going to theorize about it, we are going to implement it. Imagine when we are leading and somebody runs a public program that people celebrate and say they are doing something. But we are not felt as ANC leaders. We must be felt as ANC leaders leading our communities. And what is good with us is that we also have theory. We don't lead from the shallowness. So I wish you all the best with your conference, the deliberations, and we are confident that the outcome of this conference will solidify our path and the path of the ANC to renewal and leading the society, because as it was always, the ANC must be a leader of society. But society will not follow the ANC when the ANC is not exemplary, when the ANC does not have impact in their lives, when the ANC has no value in their life. Society must know, not because of extra means, but because our leadership, that they need the ANC. And that is important for our local government victory. Amandla.